What we do here is go back.
Good morning. Welcome to Laying Down Lambert's Icebox Throw. Today I have a delicious soup that I'm going to prepare for you. Here in southern Louisiana, it's about 35 degrees outside, which is abnormally cold for this area. So everyone is cooking gumbos and chili and different types of soup. So I scrolled through about 20 different types of soup this morning and I came to one that was called creamy sausage and tortellini soup. But because this is an icebox throw, I'm going to be using things that I already have in my refrigerator and the pantry in order to prepare this soup. So I'm going to have to adjust some of the things on the original recipe to fit the things that I have here. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of show you and tell you what you need. Then I'm going to start preparing, chopping, getting it all ready, and then we're going to start cooking. So the first thing you're going to need is a pound of Italian sausage. I don't like Italian sausage. I don't like that anise flavor. My preference, even if it's mild, sometimes it's too strong for me. So what I already had in my refrigerator was some green onion sausage that we have in our local meat department, and it is in a casing, so I'm gonna have to pick it out the casing to ground it up. I like this flavor, so that's what I'm using. You could even use ground meat, ground pork, ground turkey, or any type of ground sausage. Even Jimmy Dean's breakfast sausage would probably be just as good. But this is what I'm using. You need a small yellow onion diced, 2 large carrots. I decided that I'm going to use carrot chips because it's something that I had, and I'm going to figure out a way to chop these a little bit to get these pieces into my soup. You're going to need 4 cloves of garlic. Well, you can chop real garlic if you have the time, or you can use the one that's already minced. It's going to be your decision when you cook it. You're going to need some flour, and I forgot the flour. Got the flour. You're also going to need 5 cups of chicken broth. You can buy it already made in the box. You can use any type of chicken broth, vegetable broth, maybe even beef broth if you wanted to. One of my favorites is this. It's better than bouillon, and it comes in, you have to keep in the refrigerator section. I'm almost out of this, so I may use some of this and mix it with this other one that's pretty good. It's a very strong salt, so you probably don't need as much. I usually do 1 cube for 2 cups of water. You'll also need refrigerated cheese tortellini. I didn't have refrigerated cheese tortellini. I didn't have dry cheese tortellini. So I'm going to substitute something that I already had in my pantry. I'm just going to use rigatoni. And I'm not going to use the whole box. I'm probably going to do about half the box. Maybe a little bit more than half the box. And then I'll see what I have left over. Salt, pepper, Italian seasoning. Well, I'm going to just use my good old French fry seasoning. I might add a little bit of Italian seasoning to it, but I want to be careful because I'm not a big oregano fan either, and I want to make sure my soup doesn't have too strong of an oregano flavor. That's just my preference. You're also going to need 6 ounces of chopped fresh spinach. Didn't have chopped fresh spinach, but I did have some frozen chopped spinach, so I'm going to add a little bit to the soup from this bag. Obviously, I won't need the whole bag. And the last thing you need is 2 cups of half and half or heavy cream. I actually have both. I like this in my coffee, so I like to have both. So I'm going to use a little half and half and a little heavy cream. If you don't have either one of these, you could use whole milk. You could use skim milk. You could use evaporated milk. Just something to give it a creamy flavor. All right, I'm going to start prepping these ingredients. I'll see you right back. Welcome back. About 20 minutes have passed and I have chopped and prepared and measured all of the ingredients needed to cook our creamy sausage pasta soup. There was one thing that I noticed in the recipe that it didn't have that I pretty much put in every recipe, and that is some butter. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to use, but I always feel that butter makes your soups a little bit richer. So at some point, I know I'm going to want to add this butter, but I'm not really sure exactly where yet. I've already cooked our pasta. It is ready to go when it's time for that part of the dish. And the first thing I have to get cooking is the sausage. As you just saw, I had to take it all out of the casing, and we're going to come over here and cook it in the skillet until it is nice and brown. I'm hoping that it renders some oil and some grease, because that's what I think they want us to cook the onions and carrots and garlic in. If not, that's what I'm gonna have to add some of my butter. All right, let's go over here. I've got my sausage ready to go into my soup pot. I'm actually hoping this pot's gonna be big enough. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't think it is. I may not need the bigger pot, but I don't want to get to the point where the soup is ready to add the pasta and it's gonna overflow. So we're just gonna take precautions and use a little bit bigger of a pot. I'm just gonna grease the bottom of it just to make sure that my sausage doesn't stick. Since this sausage that I use is the green onion sausage in a casing, it is ground, but it's still formed into chunks. So it's gonna take a little bit more work to break it up into little pieces. I've also had this recipe before where I've done more like little meatballs. So you can chop it like ground meat, or you can make more of like little meatballs. I'm just gonna kind of play it by ear and see what happens. I don't know if it's a very fatty sausage, so it is sticking a little bit to the pan, so I'm gonna keep adding either a little oil or a little bit of my butter just to keep the pan greased. And it's starting to break up. I'll show you in a little bit once I get to it. And this is not anything pre-cooked. It is raw. I don't even know if it's, I guess, pork. I don't even know what kind of sausage it is. I think it's pork. It might be mixed, I don't know. But it is going to give this soup a very unique and distinct flavor, this green onion. In fact, that is what I'm missing. I usually like to top all of my soups with a little bit of chopped green onion. So I might have to send somebody to the store because I don't have any. Or I'll just have to put some dried or parsley on top just to kind of give it a little green. Oh, but the spinach is green, so it'll have a little green color in it. This is going to take a little while to cook because this sausage does take a little while to cook down just because it is so fresh. So I'm just going to let this cook down for a little bit. Cooking, it's cooking. It's 12:48. We just got back from church. We normally eat right after church, so I'm sure the family is starving. And they keep asking what's for lunch, and this is lunch, but it's gonna take a while. When I cook this sausage in links just to eat, or put it in red beans or white beans or any kind of lima beans, I usually have to add a little bit water to the pan. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna add a little bit of water just because it is sticking a little bit, but it's just because of the type of sausage it is. This will help it cook without burning. When the sausage is done, we're going to use a slotted spoon to put it on a paper towel lined paper plate, because we're going to cook the rest of the vegetables in this same pot, but we need to get this out of here. And so we are going to use the grease that's in here, as well as I guess now some of the water that I added to cook up the vegetables. So I'm going to have this ready to go for when it's ready. It's still pink inside, it's not ready yet. I'm also getting ready for the next step, which once I take the sausage out of the pot, I'm going to add onions, carrots, and garlic to saute. Ooh, this smells so good. This is my husband's favorite sausage. He likes it plain, he likes it in different types of beans, he likes to throw it on the barbecue pit. They also have hot sausage, Cajun sausage, and they have a mild Italian, which could have been used here, except I didn't want Italian. I'm gonna let this cook for about 3 more minutes, and then I think we'll have enough cook. Ready to go. So part 2 of the icebox throw today, you have to have some kind of bread, garlic, crispy, buttery bread to dip in this while you're eating it. And I don't have any French bread or baguettes on hand, but I do have some hamburger buns that I froze from New Year's Eve when nobody really ate the food. So I think I'm going to take a few of these and let them defrost, pop them in the oven with some butter, garlic, parsley on top, and this will be a good dipper. So I'm going to prepare the oven for that as well. Put the oven on, get it ready for this. So I'll put this on the side. It did not leave a lot of fat rendering, So I am going to add butter because I'm going to be adding flour as well to kind of make, down here we call it a roux. The flour is just going to be to thicken it up. There's a little grease at the bottom, but not the way you would see. So I'm going to go ahead and put that butter in here now, just to get some more fat. I'm going to put it on. Says medium high. My front lobe is probably a medium high. I'm gonna let that melt a little bit. Still have a few more pieces of sausage. My pot is beautiful for flavor. If you want to see what's inside of it now, it does look really good. There's a little bit of meat rendering, pork grease in there. That's gonna be yummy to make the soup. Go ahead and add my onions and carrots. Carrots I kind of did were weird because I used the carrot chips. I left some of them round and then I did slice some of them into little pieces. I wanted you to be able to have texture of carrots when you eat this soup, so we'll see how that turns out. This is going to saute for about 5 minutes or until my vegetables are soft. My daughter, who is almost 7, doesn't like carrots raw or even sweet. She likes them only in soup. So this is a good way to get her to eat her carrots because it's in a soup. That is the only way she'll eat carrots. I did sneak up in one time, like in a bolognese sauce, I put carrots. That was good too. I could eat just the carrots and onions with this pork grease because it smells fantastic. I wish you could smell the aroma in this house right now. What I do as a cook is as I am waiting for things to saute or boil or brown, I always kind of go back to the recipe that I'm kind of adapting and just kind of see what the next stage is so I know kind of what to do next. So after this sautés, I'm going to have to add the garlic for a few minutes. You don't like to cook that too long on too high of heat. It burns, it browns too fast, and it has a bitter taste. After the garlic, I'm going to whisk in the flour, so I need to have grease, butter left over in there. I'm going to whisk in the flour and gradually add the 5 cups of chicken broth. Whisk, so I need to get a whisk. I never know who to feed or who I'm going to feed because we always have people over. Mother-in-law who lives next door, she'll be here with Nunny. If you haven't met him yet, he's probably in one of the vlogs. He plays Santa Claus. They'll probably want to eat some soup, and then we have one of our friends helping Chad work on the Lotus today, Shannon. He's been in a bunch of vlogs too. He may or may not eat the soup. So I'm not really sure how many people I'm preparing for. So I'm just gonna say 6 people. I'm gonna prepare 6 breads. Okay. Say hey, Drake.
Hey, Drake.
Really? All right. This has been sauteing for over 5 minutes. It took a little bit longer than I thought. Now I have people in the kitchen, so just forget the background noise and focus on me. Add your 4 teaspoons of garlic. Not going to let this cook too long. We don't want to burn the garlic. Give it a quick stir. Look how beautiful this looks inside of the pan. Beautiful. Look at my amazing son. Hey, Dryson, say hey. Hey. Look at the camera, say hey. Hey. What you playing with? Your balloon? Please don't get your balloon by the hot stove. It's gonna blow up. And here's my beautiful daughter. Do you want to help me cook, beautiful daughter? Yeah. Okay, go get the stool and you can help me cook. Okay, Dior's gonna add 1/4 cup of flour, and I want you to stir it a little bit, and then I want you to stir this up. Now while you're stirring, Dior,
why are you holding the hand?
because it is a little hot, but I don't want you to do it. I want you to stir a little bit. And while you stir, Mama's gonna add some liquid.
It's soup.
Yeah, we are making soup.
Carrot.
Oh, look at the camera. What did you just say?
Soup with carrots.
I just told everybody that you love soup with carrots. Okay, I'm gonna pour this. You can just keep stirring.
I don't like carrots when they're not in soup.
I just told everybody that. Isn't that funny? All right, that was 3 cups. And it's supposed to be 5, so I gotta do 2 more. All right, while Dior stirs, I'm gonna preview what's next. So it says Continue cooking until the mixture reaches a simmer. Then reduce heat to medium-low and simmer for 6 minutes. So we're gonna kind of wait till it turns into a boil. You're gonna see a little bubbles coming up, and then we're gonna let it cook for about 6 minutes. Yeah, we have a lot left to add into it. You're gonna love it. According to the recipe, even though I'm adapting it, after this simmers for 6 minutes, we're gonna put everything else back in it. Look at Drayson playing with that little...
I'm eating the pork.
It's good, huh? So we're gonna add everything else. So at that time, we're gonna add the sausage, we're gonna add the pasta, we're gonna add the spinach, we're gonna add the 1 cup of heavy cream and 1 cup of half and half, and some of the seasoning. And it is very well seasoned because of that chicken broth, so I don't wanna add too much. I can always add it as I go if I need more, but I don't wanna start off with too much. So I'm gonna get everything ready over here so we can start dumping in just a minute. I have leftover spinach in here, so I'm 100% gonna do a cream spinach with this. That's gonna be good. You might see it on my vlog. I'm not gonna do a icebox throw because it's not a huge production like this. Over here, Dior is playing with Barbies in the background, and I am going to kind of do something to this bread. I'm gonna put a thin slice of butter on each piece of bread. I mean,
I got 2 breads.
You got 2 breads? So I'll leave Dior's plain, but the other ones I'm gonna add maybe a little garlic or some kind of herb on top. I'm gonna even put a little bit of this, just to give it some color and some flavor. This is just a little, it's made for meat and poultry. Whatevs.
Wait, why is there 2
And then
that
I'm
don't
going
have
to,
some?
that's yours. And then I'm gonna drizzle a little olive oil. Oh, why did I do olive oil? I just put butter. Whatevs. All right, and that's gonna go in the oven and bake for just a few minutes so that butter melts, and that'll be something we can dip with. So the carrots are still hard, which I don't think is a big deal. They may soften up in 6 minutes, but they're still a little bit hard.
Track.
Get what track?
That track you got.
What track I got?
At school.
At school?
Yeah.
I don't.
The track, police track.
The police track? I don't know what that is.
The track from school paper. Make a track.
I don't know. I'm gonna press stop for a minute because it's gonna be about 10 minutes where I can continue.
The toaster.
We're back. We are ready to put the final touches to our soup. This broth with carrots and onions and garlic and yummy, delicious pork grease has been cooking and simmering for 6 minutes, so it's time to start adding the other things to it. So, let me check on the bread quickly, make sure it is not burning. Nope, it still could use a little longer in there too, so I'm gonna set the timer. I'll be looking at my gray hairs. Now it's time to add everything else. So we're going to put the sausage back in carefully because it is boiling. So I don't, well, it's not boiling, but it's very hot. All right, sausage in, spinach in. The spinach is still kind of cold, so it's gonna need a few minutes to kind of loosen up. Time to add the pasta. I don't know how much I should add to this, so I don't know if I'm gonna put it all. I might just put some of this and then let people add more if they want to. But this looks like a lot. I like a lot of pasta in my soups, but this looks like it's a lot of pasta, so I don't want to overdo it. So we'll leave some on the side. I'm gonna taste it quickly. It's very well seasoned. I probably don't even need to put any more seasoning in it. So what I have right here, I don't even think I'm gonna put in because the broth was totally seasoned. I might, however, though, put a little bit of the Italian seasoning since I didn't have that. But I really don't think I need that other seasoning. Okay, and the last thing will be the heavy cream. And then it'll be ready to serve. And I'll show you what it looks like after we do that. It'll be cream and half going in. And what they say at this point is to cook it for 5 minutes so that the tortellini can cook. Well, we didn't use tortellini. We use pre-cooked another type of pasta. I did rigatoni. You can do elbow, you can do shell, you can do whatever. So I don't have to let it cook for 5 more minutes because my pasta is already cooked. So we're done. Let me show you what this looks like. I'm going to let my guests who eat this decide if they want to add more seasoning, but there is what it looks like in the pot. We see lots of that ground pork, carrots, green spinach, and the pasta noodles. So I'm gonna plate this up and serve it to my family. The best part of any icebox throw is the final tasting to see if it all came together. So here is what it looks like. You can see you've got a mixture of your carrots that might still be a little crunchy. We'll find out in a second. The creamy of the broth, the green of the spinach, which you can't taste it, but it's just there for pretty. That's delicious. The carrots did soften up while they were simmering for 7 minutes. I like to get a little bit of everything, so I'm gonna get this bite of everything. The green onion sausage for me is perfect because it's not too of that Italian flavor. Let's dip our bread in some of the juice. Another winner. Cold day, warm soup, perfect.
Where's my bread?
Oh, you want some bread? Do you like the soup? Yeah.
I don't want to eat the carrots right now.
Okay, you don't have to eat the carrots right now. All right, let's get you some bread.
What we do here is go back.
Loud.